Hey, welcome to WeWeb. WeWeb is a web application builder that lets you build data-driven, full-stack web applications like CRMs, project management tools, and much, much more. In this short intro video, we're going to cover the core basics of building in WeWeb. So, without further ado, let's jump in. Now first, let's cover elements. Now the AI will have set up the initial parts of your application, and you'll be brought to the home page of your new app. From here, if you wish to make any edits, then you can simply prompt the AI to make whatever changes you like. And if you wish to make any manual edits, then you can switch to edit mode in the top right corner. Select the element you wish to edit, and then in the right panel, you will see all of the styling options. So you could do something like changing the size of text or changing the background color of an element. And if you wish to manually add new elements to the page, then you can do this also. In the top left corner, you'll see this plus button, and you can click this to open the add panel. And inside of this panel, you'll find all of the available elements that you can then simply just click and drag onto the page wherever you like. And then, like before, you can customize their styling however you wish. Now, if you're wondering how you can start clicking around in your application and using it like a real user would, then in the top right corner of the canvas, you'll see this preview button, and you can click this button to preview your application and start clicking around and interacting with the different elements. And at a core level, that's elements covered. You can simply click on an element and customize it in that right panel. And if you wish to add a new element to the page, then you can simply click and drag from the add panel. Now, we likely want to make our application dynamic in some way. And so that leads us on nicely to our next topic, bindings. Now in my interface, I have this view tasks button, but some of my projects have tasks and some don't. So for example, this analytics platform project has 0 tasks. And so it doesn't make much sense to show a view tasks button if there is no tasks. And so with this view tasks button selected, in the styling panel, I can scroll down to the display property, and beside pretty much every property in WeWeb, you'll find this plug icon. And when you click this plug icon, you'll be presented with this window where you can bind the value. And by binding the value, I mean you're simply going to create some kind of dynamic formula that calculates what that value should be. And so in this window, you can access all of the data of your application, and each tab in here will contain different pieces of data. And the core tab here we want to focus on is the Formulas tab. And in this tab, you'll find very handy no-code formulas that you can use to create dynamic calculations and expressions. And so for example here, I want to only show this button if there are tasks for this project. And so this is a good use case for the if formula. And from the data explorer, I can simply click on a piece of data to add it into this expression. And so here I'm saying if the number of tasks is greater than 0, meaning there is tasks, then I'll return true because I do want to show the button. Otherwise, I'll return false because that means there is no tasks. And if you're ever unsure exactly what values a certain property in WeWeb expects, then you can simply hover this expected format tooltip, and it'll tell you exactly what values this property expects. And so if I close this and put it into preview mode, we can now see that that view tasks button isn't showing for the project that has 0 tasks. And so bindings are amazing. Here we've conditionally used it to display an element, but another core use case of bindings is using it to show data in your interface. So here, for example, this grid of projects that I have, you can see on the right side, we have this items property. And if I click onto it, you can see it's currently bound to a table view. And don't worry, I'll explain what table views are shortly. But for now, just understand here that I'm binding this list of data, which allows me to show this data in my interface. Now, chances are your application is going to need to be powered by some kind of data. Now, in my example project here, it's a project management tool. And so behind the scenes, I have data for projects and tasks. And for your application, you also will likely need to store data of some kind, and that data will ultimately power your application. Which leads us on nicely to our next topic, tables. Now to access tables, we'll want to switch to the Data and API tab at the very top, and from here you'll be brought to the tables interface. Now by default, the AI will have likely already set up some tables and populated them with mock data, and you can access your different tables from the left here, and when you click onto a table, you'll see that table's respective data. And now I want to draw your attention to these tabs above the table. This first tab, Data, allows you to access the core data of your table. So if you want to make any manual edits to the table, then you can do so in this tab. And these tabs to the right allow you to create what are called table views. So here you can see I have a view called All Projects, and this does exactly as it says. it shows me all projects, so every record in my projects table. And table views are extremely powerful because we can very easily access them from the interface, and thus we can very easily show this data to users of our application. So if I was to click back into the interface tab, and I'll again click into this items property that I showed before, in this second tab of the binding window, here you can access your table views. So in this example, I have my table view bound, which is why in the interface you see these 3 projects. And when I go back into the data and API tab, you can see we have 3 records here. So these records in the table are exactly what we're showing in the interface. And now in my interface, I have this select. And the idea behind this select is that when a user clicks one of the options in the select, I want to filter the projects they see based on whatever status they've selected. And one of the superpowers of table views is just how easy they make it to filter data. So if I switch back to the data and API tab, inside of my all projects table view, I'm going to click on this parameters button to open the panel. I'm going to click add parameter, and I'm going to call this status. You'll see why in a second. Now I'll add a filter and add a condition, and I'll say where status, and by status I mean this status column, where status is, and I can bind this value and select the parameter, which would now mean I could pass a certain status value, and the records would be filtered to only show records with that given status. And lastly, I'll turn on ignore if empty, so if no value is passed here, we can just see all of the records. And so now I could type a test value for this parameter, so I could type to do, and you can see the records are filtered to only be records whose status is to do. And so now I could hook up this table view to the interface to give my users a very easy way to filter by status. So I've clicked on my select element, and on the right side here, so far we've only covered the styling tab in this right panel, but there's 2 other tabs. The middle one is the settings tab, and this will contain any settings properties of your selected element. And the third and crucial tab for building is the workflows tab. Now workflows essentially allow us to react to user actions. So in the case of a select, we want to do something when the user selects one of the options in the select, and so workflows are the perfect way to handle this. So I could press new to create a new workflow. I'll choose the trigger on change because I want to react to when the user changes their selected option. And in workflows, you can add actions. So you can basically define what logic you want to happen when this certain event happens. So I could click add an action, and in my case, I want to fetch a table view. And the table view I want to fetch is that all projects table view we just configured. And here you can see that status parameter we set up. And so we can now configure exactly what value we want to pass for this parameter. Now I want the value that we pass to be dynamic and be whatever the user has just selected. So I can bind this, and then in the event data, simply just choose whatever value the user has selected. And so now when we test this in preview mode, I can select an option. And as you can see, the data filters accordingly based on the status. So as you can see, table views are extremely powerful, not only for showing full data sets, but also letting users filter data sets. So that's great for showing data, but what if we want to allow users to add data or edit data? Well, that brings us on nicely to our next topic, API endpoints. And so in my interface, I have this add project button, and when it's clicked, it shows a pop-up such as this, where I basically just want to let the user add information about a new project, and when they click add project, I want to add this as a new record in my projects table. Well, to do this, I can go back to the Data and API tab. However, this time, I'm going to go to the Backend Workflows subtab. And here, you'll have the ability to create API endpoints. And if you're not too sure what an API endpoint is, basically, it just lets your interface interact with your database. And so I could start from scratch if I wanted to, but for our use case of adding data to a table, I can simply click this tables folder, choose my desired table, here projects, and then choose my desired action. In our case, we want to add a row, and then continue through these steps. And then we'll be brought to our pre-created API endpoint, where you can see we already have an insert row action set up, and at the top we already have parameters set up, which basically just very easily lets us pass the data we want to use for the record that we're going to create. So now, back in my interface, I'm going to open my pop-up once again, switch back to edit mode, and I'm going to select the form in this pop-up. And I've already got a workflow set up to react to the form submission. So I'm going to go into this workflow, add an action, and the action I'm going to add is to call the API we just created. So this add row API. And in the configuration on the right, you can see we have all of those input parameters of the API. And so to show you how you can realistically pass values, I'm going to put it into preview mode and quickly fill out this form. And I'm going to head back to that workflow of the form. Now in this configuration, the values that we want to pass here will be whatever values the user has just typed in. So they're going to be dynamic. And because they're dynamic, we can press the plug icon to bind them. And then from this window, we can access whatever value has been typed into those inputs. So here I could select whatever name has been typed in. For the description, I can select whatever description has been typed in. And for the status, I can select whatever status has been selected. And with that set up now, I can put it back into preview mode. And when I press add project, we can see that new project in the interface. And if I come out of preview mode and go into the data and API tab once again, you can see in our projects table, we now have that new record. And so we now have a working interactive application, but how do we get this in the hands of users? Well, that brings us on to our last topic, deploying your application. So in the top right of the editor, you have this deploy button. And when you click this, you'll see a panel such as this. And so to publish your project, you can simply press this publish button. Give your publish some kind of identifiable name, click publish, and you'll then see this pop up. Now, this pop up is pretty technical, but it's basically saying that in your editor environment, you have some database tables. And now that we're deploying this, we need to send these database tables to your production environment. And so you can simply just press accept and deploy. Your deployment will then start, and in the top right, you can see the progress of your deployment if you're interested. So you can expand the interface part to see the progress of your interface deployment, or for example, the server to see status of your server deployment. Then once all of that is deployed, you'll see this pop up that you can close. And now if you again open the deploy panel, you will now have a link here that you can click. And once you click this link, you'll be brought to your live application. Now note here that in my application, we can't see any projects, but in the editor we could. And don't worry, this isn't an issue. This is exactly as expected. And I'll show you why back in the editor. So in the editor, if I go to the Data and API tab, and I switch back to the Tables subtab, in the top left here, we have this environment select, and we've been in the editor environment. However, if I select the production environment, you can see here in my projects table, I have no data. And so when we're using our live application, the data that our live application uses comes from this production environment. However, in the editor, it will use the data from this editor environment. And if it's your first time building apps, then this may seem a bit weird, but trust me, this is exactly what you want, because the last thing you want to do while you're developing your app is to edit the live data, which then impacts your live users. So it's critical that we have this separation between the data in the editor environment and the data in the production environment. And so that's pretty much the core steps to building in WeWeb. Now there's one last point we didn't cover here, and that's user authentication. Now in your application, you more than likely want users to be able to sign up and sign in and create and view some kind of data that's unique to them. Now this is a very important topic as it relates to securing your application, and because it's such an important topic, to do it justice, it needs more than a few minutes of explanation. So, as a next step, if you're interested in learning more about authentication, then a link to that dedicated video will be in the description. Now, with all that said, welcome to WeWeb, happy building, and we can't wait to see what you build.